back at you with a new project. Today we are going to be working on an Icebear 50cc scooter trike that just came in. It's been sitting up for about 5 years in a storage shed. Gas is nasty, so we're going to basically do a basic tune-up on this, drain the gas, and kind of show you a kind of a spring tune-up on it that we do every year. Battery, clean the carb, flush the tank, do everything there is to basically a 50cc scooter. It's Chinese, so it's going to be exactly the same as all the Chinese scooters, but this is a trike version. But everything should be the same. So after that, we're going to get into this thing and kind of show you what we deal with. Thanks a lot for watching. So this is the scooter trike that we're working with. It is a 2010 Icebear 49cc scooter trike. Same as basically just a basic scooter, but instead of spinning a rear wheel, you're spinning the rear axle on a chain. So not a big deal, but what we're going to do first is basically pop the seat open. We are going to, I've already got this loose right now, but we're going to basically take out this screw, that screw, and the two screws here in the bottom, there and there. At that point, we can pull this whole entire seat pan out, which is what we're going to do right now. Now I got access to everything inside. We're probably going to be having to basically put a new carburetor on here, check for spark, replace all the hoses on this thing. This thing's been sitting in a warehouse for 7 years now, I think is what he said. And the tank is god-awful. I already took the gas cap off right here. It's all full of varnish, slimy, gooey stuff that's inside this thing. Let's just see what we get ourselves into. And that nasty, slimy stuff is what's in here. Let's see if I can get a better look at that. So it's full of varnish, nastiness, and here we go. We're going to start this thing off and just tear into this thing. I already got the battery cover off. We're going to put a new battery in it and just pretty well do this thing from start to finish. Okay, the first thing that we're going to do is basically get rid of the old gas that's in the tank. It's absolutely filthy. This right here is your fuel pump petcock. There's going to be a line coming from that nipple all the way down to the carburetor that's going to have your fuel filter on here. I just took it off. It literally broke apart in my hands. I think I showed you that in the very beginning. This little line right here goes basically all the way back up to the bottom of the tank. There's no petcock on here. It just uses the body mount right there. So we're going to disconnect this line and see if there's any gas in this tank whatsoever. I see a little bit floating down there, but if we disconnect this, it should be a direct flow into the to the cup and drain that tank completely. We're going to grab a pair of needle nose pliers, and I'm gonna put this little cup in here to catch that. There is a little wire clamp in here that we're going to need to take off, and probably best to get it down from below here. We're gonna pull that clamp off here and take this hose off. Now there should be some gas that comes out with it as well. Okay. Now that we got the hose off, we're going to drain that tank. There's a little bit of gas coming out of here. It's all nasty, orange and gooey. There's not a whole lot of gas in there, but it's definitely varnished. So what I'm going to do is actually get some fresh gas and kind of rinse this out, because it is nasty stuff coming out of here. And you can smell it. Not a whole lot of gas, which is good, but that also could be bad because the inside part of the tank could be totally rusty because it's been sitting in a warehouse, and condensation in the cold weather can actually cause that inside part of the tank to rust up. All right, I am going to add just a little bit of fresh gas to the tank here and see if that all comes out the bottom here. I don't have a whole lot of gas in here, but I am going to put a little bit in there and see if we can just flush a little bit of that old stuff out of here. Okay, there is gas inside of the tank now. Not a lot, but a little bit, and there's nothing flowing through this whatsoever. I actually blew inside this tube right here, which goes directly through the tank, and I can't even blow through it. It's completely clogged. So what I'm gonna do is I got an air compressor here, and I'm going to blow some air through this nozzle right here and hopefully break all that rust loose here. Okay, I can hear it gurgling now. Now we're gonna see if it is actually coming through the hose here, and it's not. So I'm gonna try to blow it through this again. And it is completely clogged. Trying to force some stuff through this air tank here. Still nothing coming through, but you can see all the rust and stuff on my hand that this thing's blowing through this tank. So I'm gonna have to take this tank off and see if I can get this thing to flush out some more, because it is not coming through that tube. So I pulled that tube off and got a pick, and I'm sticking through here, and this is just almost solid as a rock. And if you can see the inside part of that pick and all of that lovely little gooey stuff that's inside of here, that's what I'm trying to break through. And it's almost solid rust and almost a paste. As this comes down, there we go, we're starting to get some fluid through it now. And break some of that up. Bad thing is this petcock, or the outlet tube, is at a 90-degree angle. I mean, it's just constantly, we're gonna go in there and get this thing cleaned off some more. And it kind of goes on an angle. So I've got the tube itself open. I did get a little bit of gas through it. But I'm gonna shoot that air back up underneath there, because you can see by the pick, every time that I do that, I'm getting just completely just rust filled sludge on my pick. That's just nasty. So I've kind of got the last inch broken up, but then it takes a 90-degree angle that goes up into the tank. So since I kind of got that broken out some more and more, I'm gonna take the air and see if we can break it up some more now. It might take a little bit, but I'm gonna try to get this up underneath the tube now and see if we can get it to break loose some. Still nothing. So I might have to get a piece of wire or something to try to break this up and get up through there, because there's something that's physically inside of that tank, and oh my gosh, it's just nasty. As you can see, all that stuff keeps coming out, so it's a complete paste, and the air is not even breaking it out. So this is going to be the fun part. I'm going to continue on squirting this stuff out and still getting more and more out every time we do it. I mean, every time we do it, we get more and more out. I've kind of got a little bend on the end of this pick, just for that very reason, just to kind of get it all out of there. Okay, I got a while here. I'm gonna get a zip tie and squirt in this thing, because it's a hard plastic thing, and get it through that bend. See if we can get, oh, there it goes. I got it up in there about 2 or 3 inches around that bend now, and it's starting to come through. So now I can still have some gas coming out. Okay, so I had a wild hair and ended up taking a zip tie and running through the little tube, and it actually broke free that rust. So now I'm starting to actually drain some of this gas out of there. You can see it's just nasty and brown and rusty and filthy. It smells like poo and lots of varnish. But it is draining now, so all that rust that was at the bottom of that tank and clogging the outlet tube from the tank is at least now, you know, flowing free, and it's free flowing, so we should be good. I'm gonna drain this out and go from there. So that part at least flushing free, and I'll put new fuel line on here, new fuel filter, and we should be in good shape. Okay, the gas is kind of slowly draining out. I am going to put a little air in the tank right now, just to kind of force any kind of rust or anything out the air hole down there. Kind of cover this up with my hand and do the best I can to force it out the bottom here. Gosh, look at all that stuff that's coming off of my hand, all that rust and stuff blowing up out of that gas. But there hardly doesn't seem like there's anything else. So it looks like we're in pretty good shape right now. It looks like it stopped dripping. There's nothing coming out whatsoever. And I'm going to take this air hose again, go up underneath here, blow through that hose just to make sure that nothing is coming out and it's not clogged. Okay, so you can see it blowing out the top there. So the tank is free now, and I'll put it back up there. And if you watch the top of the tank here, you can see air and gas and stuff come through as I put some air in there. See it kind of puffing right there? So it's actually free flowing right now. No rust is clogging that. You can kind of see how much water is in the bottom of that and how orange and varnished that the gas is. It's absolutely hideous. Okay, we're gonna hook this fuel line up. I got the old one cut off, and this goes all the way down right through here to the bottom of the tank. I use the Helix fuel line, and once that's on, it's not coming off. So it's on there pretty good. And we're gonna cut it off and go into the inlet down here. And from there, we're gonna go run it from here all the way down to the carburetor. We are gonna put an inline fuse in this, or inline fuel filter, which is right there. And we're simply going to hook it to the bottom of the petcock, or the side here, which is good there. And then we're gonna run it from here all into the side of the carburetor. All right, now we're gonna take the carburetor off. We've got the first screw on the intake boot right there. So we're going to unscrew that. Then come back to the air filter boot and unscrew it. The air filter should be able to pull right off now as far as that black hose goes. It's pretty stiff, so we're going to try to pull this thing off. All right, so that's kind of out of the way. Next in line, we've got the throttle cable. Most of the time you just kind of push down, and then this front nut here will come off, and you can simply unscrew it. Just got to put a little pressure on it. Then we're going to pull this cable straight out and out like that. The throttle cable will be loose, but we've got to wrap it around, and that will come out the actual holder. Sometimes it's easier to turn it. And I'm going to do this right here to kind of show you how that gets in there. Then you can simply pull it right on out. So once you get this little nipple right here, then you put it back in, you slide it right on in, stick it in the hole, and turn it this way. So we're going to pull that on out of the way. And from now, our carburetor should be able to just pop right on off. And it does. The bad thing is, this is the original carburetor. And the bad thing about that is, anything after 2010 is going to have these non-serviceable carburetors, which means these are screws, but they're ground off. So there's no way to take those out without drilling them out. All three screws here, here, and here, there's no way to do that. So basically, we're just going to take this carburetor, I'll throw it in my box with about 50 or 60 of these carburetors, and every winter we'll drill all these out and rebuild them, because there's simply no way to clean them. And this one like this has been sitting with that gas in it that long. It's all varnished up. From there, we're going to make sure to follow this around, and there will be a choke wire right here. So just push that, pull that off, and now we are ready for the new carburetor. That concludes part one of this two-part series. Next up, we're going to put the carburetor on, charge our battery, check spark, and see if we can fire this thing up. Remember to like our channel and subscribe to us. We have a lot more informational videos to come, all about scooters, ATVs, and dirt bikes. Thanks a lot for watching.